You're listening to Neil Mitchell.
Okay, we have the Attorney-General, Martin Pakula, with me, and the Shadow, John Pesutto. We'll take a quick call. Glenn, yes, what do you think?
Yeah, good day, Neil. Just a quick possible solution, if I may. We've got kids of 13 to 18 committing violent crimes, all sorts of them, and they go before the bail justices and they get let out on bail. If they go to court, the courts treat them as kids and they slap them on the wrist with a feather. Let's redefine these crimes that they're committing. If they turn out to be adult crimes, that is crimes with violence, crimes in company, assault and battery, all that sort of thing, try them as adults.
Okay, what's the reaction to that, John Pesutto?
We've had a concern for a long time, Neil, and thank you, Glenn. What you're saying is something Victorians all over our state are saying, that there are too many very violent offences being treated in the juvenile jurisdiction, and we've committed, Glenn, that we will ensure that more of these crimes are tried in the adult jurisdiction where they should be.
Okay.
Well, Neil, I think John should be aware of this. We've already passed the Youth Justice Reform Act last year, which makes it more likely that young people who commit serious crimes will be uplifted to the adult courts. And we've also taken away the option of dual-track sentencing for 18 to 21-year-olds who commit repeat violent crimes. So there's already a much greater likelihood that young people who commit serious offences, particularly repeat offenders, will be dealt with by the adult court system.
Okay, Mike, go ahead, please.
We had an attempted home invasion last Tuesday night.
You did personally?
Yes. I was asleep. My wife was awake. It was about 12:30 in the evening, and someone came through, or some people came through our front gate, which my wife heard open, and then there was a huge racket, someone trying to get through our security door. Our front door was open, but the security door was locked and held. An enormous noise. My daughter was upstairs asleep. She came down screaming. She got onto the police. By the time we got to the front door, obviously it had held and they'd taken off. But, we're all sort of petrified about, the future, and we're putting in extra security. The police...
So what is your point to the Attorney-General in the Shadow?
My point is that we hear more and more of this stuff. My friends and family are all saying the same thing, that this is not Melbourne that we grew up in, and it's changed, and we want it all sorted out.
Okay. Do you see an answer?
Well, I think that unfortunately we're stuck with it in the short term.
That's the point. Thank you for calling, Mike. Hang on, we'll get your details off here. That's part of the issue. And if you look at the problem with the African gangs, Martin Pakula, we've had both Les Twentyman and Brendan Nottle predicting this would happen. I think Les was about 6 years ago, Brendan was about 4 years ago. They said if we don't engage, we don't do something, we're headed for this sort of problem. They were right. Is it too late now? I mean, do we just have to ride this through? Is there really a way through this? Can you offer us an answer?
Look, I don't think it's too late, and I think it is really important that we don't stigmatise the entire African community. We've got a particular problem with Sudanese and South Sudanese youths. They are offending beyond their proportion of the population, but with other African communities, Ethiopian, South African, Nigerian, much lesser problems. They're, really very, very strong communities. I think, as I said earlier, it is complex. It is partly a law and order response. It is partly a sentencing response. But acknowledging that, and also acknowledging the fact that there are some really strong intergenerational problems, people with no father figure in the house, households where no one's got a job, including the parents. These are, and acknowledging that and understanding that is not soft, it's just smart, because you don't want the next group of kids to get into the same trouble as their older brothers might be.
But does it mean we've got a long-term problem here?
I think it means we've got an issue which has to be dealt with across governments and across agencies.
But there's no quick fix.
I don't think there's a quick fix to it. No, I think we need to deal with the offending by the offenders, and we need to put those people away, and we then need to deal with the younger kids and make sure they don't get into the same cycle of crime.
So when can you offer us hope?
Oh, well, I think, look, the work that Victoria Police is doing is really important.
But you've just said there's no quick fix. How long are we working? How long have we got?
Oh, well, look, Neil, I mean, I think we need to, as Victoria Police did last year with Apex, we need to get on top of the immediate problem And I'm sure that they will do that. I'm absolutely confident they will do that. And then we need to work across a whole range of disciplines, whether it's federal government resettlement, sport, education, the schools, to make sure that the next generation of kids don't get into the same issues.
John Pesutto, is there a quick fix?
There's no quick fix, but there's urgent work that needs to be done. And I don't know what the government's plan, listening to that, is. I don't really know what it is. What we need to do urgently is make sure that law enforcement is strong and immediate. We've had some terrible incidents over the last month or so, one of the worst periods of gang violence in Victoria's recent history. And where are the arrests? Nothing. If there have been, they're very few in number. We need to get tough immediately. There are some longer-term things that are absolutely urgent, like engagement, employment opportunities, training and investment in those programs. But Neil, as I'll say to you what I've said to audiences around our state, if you don't have a credible justice system that carries real consequences for people who think they can violently break the law, if you don't have that in place, all of the desirable measures on the engagement front, employment training, are not going to work. It's as simple as that.
You say, the opposition says they'll build more jails, correct?
Well, we'll build what's necessary, and if that means more jails, yes.
Do we need more jails? Will you build more in government?
Well, we've just got Ravenhall opening. We've already got plans in place for the new youth justice facility out in Cherry Creek. And if more are needed in the future, they will be built. I mean, we've got, as I say, there's a new facility under construction in the western suburbs. We're reinforcing the old Parkville site. We've just had a roughly 1,000 beds open at Ravenhall, and if more is necessary, that will be done.
The increasing message I'm getting, perhaps from both of you, is you can't arrest your way out of this.
Well, as I've said often, look, there's an old saying. Every complex problem has a simple, which is clear, simple and wrong. The fact is you don't have simple solutions to very complex problems. Arrests, statutory minimum sentences, tough bail and parole laws are part of the solution, but they are only part of the solution, and it's only Labor that looks across the whole spectrum to make sure we have a comprehensive response to community safety.
John Pesutto?
Well, Neil, do your listeners think that our bail laws are as strong as they need to be? Do they think our sentencing laws are as strong as they need to be? No. That's why Matthew Guy, myself, Ed O'Donoghue and others in our team have announced a strong suite of policies to restore the credibility of our system and to do this key thing, Neil, put respect and personal responsibility back into our justice system. They went missing, and we've got to restore that if we have any hope of changing culture and behaviour down the track. You can't expect, realistically, somebody who's 17 years old to treat their rehabilitation program with any kind of respect if they think they can breach their bail with impunity.
Can I just go back just quickly to the issue of the PSO attack out at Carrum? As I recall, the Coalition introduced the law on 6-month sentence for attacking emergencies, but it was mucked up a bit and the government fiddled it or adjusted it. Are there still exceptional circumstances? If I assault an emergency service worker, can I still get off with exceptional circumstances, or do I have to do 6 months?
All of the statutory minimum provisions, whether it's for home invasion, carjacking, emergency service assault, they all have a special reasons provision, which effectively means the court has some discretion if there's going to be a substantial miscarriage of justice.
But Neil, can I just jump in there?
Sure.
Martin is right to that extent, but we have a problem where special reasons, which were designed to be a narrow gate, are now an open driveway, and everybody's going through them. That was never the intention. The intention was to crack down on this violent behaviour with a strong deterrent, and prosecutors and courts, in my respectful view, have not reflected the community's demands on this front.
Well, look, on the question of prosecutors, I have great faith in the Office of Public Prosecutions. They go for the strongest sentence that they believe that they can get, and they're not going to risk an acquittal if they think that that's a likely outcome. They try and get the strongest outcome they can with the evidence they have in front of them, and I respect their independence.
I don't think there's any doubt Melbourne's international and national reputation's taking a battering. We've got that US surgeon and his son attacked last week, which is getting a lot of attention. It's almost commonplace to read in the papers that the crime rate is going down except in Melbourne, or that the streets are safe except for Melbourne. The city is being damaged significantly. It's not just a perception, that's a reality. What can you do about that? Do you say to people, we're not that dangerous?
Well, overall, Melbourne and Victoria are very safe places to live. The Economist put out its rankings in 2017, 5th safest city in the world. Now, that doesn't. Now, I can assert that without in any way undermining the very real fears that certain people who have been the victims of crime have. But that doesn't mean that I have to accept everything that, say, Peter Dutton says about our city. Peter Dutton's made some outlandish claims and has probably done more to damage Melbourne's reputation than anything by saying things that are just patently untrue.
That's
the fact
my whole
is,
point. Peter Dutton said some ridiculous things. James Molino said some ridiculous things.
under provocation from Malcolm.
Provocation from Malcolm Turnbull.
Well, Malcolm Turnbull used a press conference about a new initiative in Geelong to continue the federal government's assault on Melbourne. And James bit back.
So you support him?
Well, he's the Deputy Premier. Of course I support him, Neil.
John Pesutto.
This is just all white noise. Mike, I don't know if you're still listening, but I'm really sorry that you and your wife and your daughter had to experience that home invasion last week. And it pains me to the core even more that you feel it is necessary for you to invest in your own safety and fortify your home like Fort Knox. I can tell you, Mike, I did a community forum in Paran about 1.5 years ago, and I'll never forget a woman standing up in tears saying that for the first time in her life, she lived alone. She was sleeping with a baseball bat under her bed. This is not Melbourne, and this is not Victoria, and that's what you and thousands of Victorians across our state are saying. Neil, people aren't interested in all this other stuff. They just want to be kept safe. And that's why we need strong measures to secure the people's safety.
Gentlemen, thank you. We're agreed it's not a quick fix. Maybe we can do this again in a month or so.
No worries. Anytime.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. The Attorney General, Martin Pakula, in the shadow, John Pesutto.